even like in my appearances, like the form of nose and my head,
The shape of your head, yeah.
shape of my head is very, very Kenyan.
Speaking of the shape of your head, can we see what you mean? Well, we're here at the Kenyan Kitchen restaurant. My very, very first time coming here. Absolutely brilliant place. And with me today, that we're going to talk about a lot of things, is my friend Alfred. Hi, Alfred. How are you?
Yeah, I'm Alfredo. Yeah.
Alfredo.
Yes.
Because it's Alfredo because it's Portuguese. So anyway, I'm going to start by doing the traditional thing that I always do when I go home in Kenya, and that's to have a taska lager, one of my favorites. Not an advert, but it's just a drink that, it's a Kenyan kitchen and we're here. And so Alfredo, tell me, you've been in London for 15 years? Close to 15 years?
Yeah, my name is Alfredo, but they call me like Sharton.
Yeah.
And I'm a world citizen, African world citizen. And I've been living in London for 15 years. But me, I've been living different places in Europe, I grew up in Portugal and Holland. And also I've been around, like States and Australia. Yes. Yes.
So exactly a world-class citizen, like you mentioned. So you've got
African.
You're African with a Portuguese passport, but you've lived in London for...
I don't know. You know what? I really just classify me as an African and world citizen.
Yeah.
And no Portuguese, because you know that Africa has all these colonies, English, and I can't say like Kenyan, you are English. No. I don't like that definition. No.
Right.
Just world citizen, yes.
So you're just Alfredo, world citizen.
African.
Right. When was the last time you were in Africa?
Oh yeah, that's a long time ago. I left Africa a long time ago.
I mean, define it a long time ago. Is it like 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yeah, over 20 years, yeah.
Right, and so you're obviously a very, very proud African.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
What is it about Africanism that you really, really love?
What about African there?
The Africanism in you. Like when you say I'm an African, how do you define that? What defines you as an African?
First of all, I feel proud with myself, and then the simple fact that I'm born in Africa, but I could be born somewhere else. I could be born in Europe. I could be born in China. It doesn't matter where. South America, it doesn't matter. But because I'm from Africa, I'm just happy and proud with who I am, So, yeah.
You know what? If you ask me the same question, I would. For me, it's more about like the culture, the vibrance of, the music, the hospitality of people. That having lived abroad and having lived in China and having now living here in the UK, I tend to compare quite a lot of different aspects from different cultures, and every time I go back to. I take myself back to Africa and how I miss, like the pomposity of celebrations and just everything, the sun, everything, the food also. Hence, we're here today at Kenyan Kitchen as well,
So, because you live 12 years.
I lived 12 years in China, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's so very different because in China, a lot of it is more mellow. Everything is a bit more mellow, whereas and smooth and soft. Whereas when you go to Africa, for example, it's everything. The energy is there. It's like everything is like boom, 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 boom. And I kind of like that. And also living here in London, I think because London is also multicultural, and I've gotten to meet you. So there's also that mix of energy from the communities that people, friends I've met here from Africa, including yourself.
Like the question that you asked me, like about Africanism, how I feel. I think that because simple fact that I'm born in Africa, but I also had a chance to travel around the world and mix with different people, you know, speak different languages, you know, have different cultures, have friends from all over. That's made me who I am.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And I'm more conscious about human being or humanity in itself. I think that I want to introduce this word to many people. You know, I'm a very humble person, okay? Many people think that to be humble, you have to be poor or maybe don't have money. Let me try to give definition of humble, what I understand about this word, right? Humble is to recognize the mistake we made in any kind of situation, and then go back to the situation, recognize the mistake we made.
Right.
Humble is not being poor, because you have a lot of rich people.
Yeah.
They're very humble, and you have a lot of poor people, very, very bad people. So humble is to really is to love people, but also love people and respect people and give them the dignity they deserve. Right?
I think that's a universal thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
It's all universal.
Right.
And now let's talk about. I'm really curious to know, because I just only moved here last year. It's only been a year and a bit, and you've been here for 15 years. Mm-hmm. For a newbie like me, if somebody's coming fresh from Africa and they want to know what is it like living in London, what makes London the London that we all know and love?
London is a place of opportunity, but you need to be, you know what I was trying to say, humble, because it's the land, is a city of opportunity. In London, you see, many Africans, right? When they come here, they still come with this very, very narrow mentality, right? And they see, they think that they always, try to be like a victim because they don't have money, Africa is poor and all that stuff. No. When you live here, because it's a city of opportunity, you really have to open for everyone and just be humble and then navigate and try to find what you really want, because you have a lot of nice people in London. You also have a bad people like everyone.
Yeah, but do you mean in the sense that they need to be a little bit more open-minded and open up to new experiences and try out new things?
Definitely, because Africans, they have a lot of these things compare. Oh yeah, you know what? I don't have this and I have to have this. The world is not about having, because the world, right, is today you have, tomorrow you don't have. So the have changed.
Right.
The have changed. Today you can be on top of the world, and tomorrow maybe you're not, someone else. So we have to really accept these things and really, understand the nature of the have, how the have changed, right? And this sometimes I think that the African people, they have lack of this. And now we talk about African people, but of course we talk about we talk about humans, right?
Yeah.
But because
Human
we are
beings.
Africans, so we have to focus in African people, yeah.
Put it in an African context.
Definitely.
Let's talk about the weather in itself. I'm still getting used to it. I mean, we're lucky enough today. It was a beautiful sunny day, but as we all know, London has the worst weather, I would imagine, for lack of a better word. Do you miss that? That nice, having good temperature, enjoying good climatic conditions? Or are you just now used to it? It's London, it's London, and
you know what? I used to it, but what I miss from Africa is sometimes, the warmth of people, the how you call it, the friendship, African people, they're very, very friendly, and we are very friendly people, and I miss that sometimes, how we treat each other in that brotherhood, kindness, and that's what I miss from my childhood in West Africa. Yeah.
But you consider yourself more Kenyan, yeah? Like you've got.
I think that like me.
You told me you have a Kenyan. Did you say a Kenyan skull?
No, but the thing is that like you see like when we look to the people, right?
Yeah.
Especially like if you have like a basic of your study and anthropology, right?
Yeah.
We all of us human beings, we are from the same tree, but like different branches.
Absolutely.
And I think that it doesn't matter like where I come from, and there is a connection, because I do believe like Africa, the civilization of African, it must start somewhere, right? It must start somewhere, and then people move. They move from one place to another, because we still do that with like with immigration, all that stuff, right? So we still do that with immigration. So I do believe like my origin, because Africa we have all these tribe things, okay? We have all these tribe things, and my tribe from West Africa is they share a lot of things with the Kikuyu people, for instance, from Kenya.
Or rather the Bantu community.
Or just we're gonna go deep. That one maybe you have to explain people about that later, because that's really big school about African studies. But what I'm trying to say here is that like we share the same way of like social structure with the Kenya, with the Kikuyu, which is like very far from West Africa to East Africa. But even like in my appearances, like the form of nose and my head, the
shape of your head,
shape of my head is very, very Kenyan.
Speaking of the shape of your head, can we see what you mean? And then maybe the viewers.
You see like this.
Yeah, I do absolutely agree.
Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
And then, Kenya boy.
Right. How did you come to think of that? Is it something somebody or people keep pointing out that you look more Kenyan than anything?
Yeah. White people, like especially like that's the first thing. They will not think like I'm from West Africa, where I come from, but rather like Kenya, maybe
East Africa in general.
Yeah.
Because East Africans, like I could be walking on the street and I can see if somebody's. I can tell if someone is from the southern part of Africa, from the western part of Africa, or the East Africa, and even Central Africa, because each of these regions, they have a certain distinct look that you can easily recognize if you're familiar with all these generations.
But you know what is interesting, like in Africa studies, as I say, like we come from the same tree but different branches, right?
Right.
The thing is that you have one tribe, or group of people, like maybe in East, and they have similarity with some group of people in West, in Central Africa, and so that's how it goes, and the social structure, sometimes appearances, and we know that like East Africa, especially like for sub-Saharan Africa, it's very, very important, like historically, when we know that civilization from Africa, is really big in East Africa, especially like Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, all that area. That's where everything started, and then people move around. But that's another discussion. Many people will not, because you really have to do a big studies of Africa, because even African people, they don't have access to the history.
History, a lot of it. I do agree with that.
They don't. You really have to navigate through that. For instance, Sudan is a very important place. People forgot that Sudan, the king of Egypt, it was the king of Sudan. And like you have more pyramids in Sudan than Egypt. People don't talk about. If you tell African, they don't know about it.
And I am one of those Africans, which lately I've been trying to watch a lot of documentaries on the history of Africa, and it's actually a lot of fascinating things. And I mean, I feel it's a bit pathetic because growing up, I never really appreciated museums, and we do have a lot of beautiful museums. And having, you know, here in London, it's like museum every corner. There's a museum,
and it's for free.
And it's free. And every time I've gone to walk into them and like learn the history of football, history of this, or history of that, it just fascinates me that I know more about the British culture and the British history than I do my own. And so I'm planning next time I go home, one of the things on my agenda is to go to visit museums, try to learn a bit of history, because the only history I know is the one that I was taught in school during history lesson, and even then I didn't really care much about the history.
No, I got that.
But now I do.
Museum, right, is a concept of like of Westerns, yeah, the colonial, yeah.
No, but it's not. It's really a concept. It's more of a thing it's a thing. Let's call it a thing that, you know, makes time static. You can go back and look. It's like an album of where you come from.
I got it. But what I'm saying, like, we African, right? Look, we have basic problems, right? Food. You know, like the basic things, yeah. And shelter, you know, like the basic things. So we have a problem with that. We really, so far, we really don't have that. We still don't get that, you know, we don't get that stage of like create our own museum, because we still have to deal with a lot of things.
No, but we do have museums.
We do have museum, but it's, you know, yeah, okay.
Let's just say we do have museums, and we do have.
All African countries like really have like good museums. Yeah, not.
I mean, good.
I found more things from my country in
Portugal. In London.
Please, these Portuguese things, put that side, right? African first.
Yeah, but you said you found more things.
I found more things from. I found more. You know, things from my culture in Europe than in...
Okay, so why is it, can we talk about, like, you found, and Portugal is in Europe, so you've lived there, you've lived in England, you've lived whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was pointing out. You probably have found, like, I probably would say, like, if I went to a museum, some museums here, I'd probably find more things from Kenya in museums here than they are in Kenya.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong saying that, is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. How often do you go to museums here?
Me? I try to go like maybe. I can't say like, but I go often.
Yeah.
You know, just because museum, you have to go to museum from time to time. It's not like you just go one time, because it need a lot to process, right? You need a lot of time to process.
Yeah.
Right. Every time I go to one museum, you know, I get tired after museum, because you have to process a lot. Like British Museum is very rich in, you know, it's very rich in cultures, you know, from Egypt to Africa to Asia,
Yeah. Right, and obviously, let's talk about food. Like, that's always like something that I've always struggled with when people ask me, what is African food? And obviously I say, like, there's no such thing as African food.
I agree with you.
It's the same thing. You don't say what is European food? No, exactly. But do you get that question quite often?
Of course, because it's very hard to speak about Africa in general.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very hard. You can't.
It's such a big topic.
Because Africa, if you think about Africa, you have all kind of humans, or all type of humans in Africa.
Yeah.
From the dark skin to the lighter skin, people with eyes like you know, all kind of shapes in Africa.
No, it's not just about the body anatomy or anatomy of the body. It's more about the culturally. There's so many different cultures.
You find everything in Africa.
Yeah.
Everything in Africa.
Yeah.
And you can't really talk about Africa in just one word. Europe is very, very easy to talk about, to generalize. It's very, very easy. Not difficult, you know. It's not difficult. But in Africa, you have this lot of tribes. You have a lot of culture. You have a lot of shapes of even like Africans.
The body anatomy,
the body, everything. So it's really.
And it's also 54 countries, 54 distinct countries, not just one country.
Yeah. Look, people from
it's a continent.
Egypt.
Yeah.
people from Egypt, they look completely different than Mauritania. Mauritania look completely different than how you call it, Kenya. Kenya look completely different than Senegal. Senegal completely different than Guinea-Bissau. It's really, you know, it's very difficult to talk about Africa in to generalize. It's a rich continent. You have everything in Africa. Everything, all type of people, all type of food, everything.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So we've got a menu. Can we have another menu, please?
Oh yeah, that's the best. That's the best part.
Right. So we want to talk about the food. I want to see how many of these dishes you can recognize.
So, Mamma mia.
Thank you.
It's hard to talk about Africa for me.
Right.
Right. So I have to travel now to Kenya. Kenya kitchen, karibu nyumbani.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Welcome home.
Oh,
Kenya
wow.
kitchen, welcome home.
Okay, is that Swahili?
Yes.
Okay.
So nyumbani means home, karibu means welcome. So like basically it's welcome home.
I speak 6 European language and no African language. That's
and
crazy.
yet you're proud Africa, yeah?
Oh yeah, but and then I'm very proud, you know, very proud African.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I really like on this menu. So we've got samosa, which we call sambusa. You know samosa?
Samosa, of course.
Yeah, those are usually very nice.
Yeah.
Sukuma nyama, okay, kuku stew, chef special arm stew, matoke. I actually had matoke yesterday, so I had it today.
What is that, matoke?
Matoke is plantains.
Okay, yeah.
Matoke is plantains. Goat meat, yeah. Love that. Githeri is good as well.
It's nice that you introduced me to the menu.
Yeah.
But you know already my thing with the food, yeah?
You are more vegetarian?
Yes, I'm vegetarian for 15 years and I feel good about it. So
if you're vegetarian, vegetarian, I would say githeri then.
Which one?
Githeri.
Okay.
Yeah, this is basically corn
Kenya
mixed with beans.
dish.
It's usually very delicious. Do you guys have githeri? Because he's vegetarian.
Yeah, we do. We have most vegetarian dishes on there actually.
Yeah.
Like even sukuma wiki.
But sukuma wiki is a bit, you can't just eat sukuma wiki on it with ugali. That's a bit bland, isn't it?
Yeah, you can have a side with it. So it's the greens.
Yeah.
You can have chapati with it, or you can even have
Do you have beans? Like just beans, like chapati beans?
yeah, maharagwe and nazi.
Oh yeah. So you can have.
Just give me something traditional from
That's
Kenya.
exactly.
So
It's all. Yeah.
Maharagwe chapo.
Maragwe chapo. Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Right. So he'll have a maragwe chapo.
Maharagwe chapati.
Yes. Maharagwe chapati. That's very nice. And wow. And then for a starter, he'll have the vegetable samosa. Do you have it?
Yeah, we do have.
What's inside? What kind of veg?
It's filled with potatoes, peas, and carrots and beans.
Okay, you don't have the one with ndengu?
No.
Okay.
Which is another vegetarian starter you have?
The vegetarian starter, try the keke mogo.
The
Okay,
what?
good.
Kenyan
Cube size mogo. What is mogo?
cassava.
Oh,
Cassava.
yeah, that's exactly what I was wondering. Muhogo, yeah.
We say mogo.
Yeah. I will have sukuma nyama. I want mbuzi. Mbuzi choma. Yeah?
Mbuzi choma, how spicy do you like the mbuzi choma?
Mild spice. When you say spicy, what do you mean? Like
So we normally, because with the mbuzi choma, all of the chomas actually, we make them according to the customer's spice level.
yeah.
So you can choose how mild, medium.
Can I just have the spice on the side, like kachumbari?
Oh, no, it comes with all of that.
Okay.
You know, if you want mild, it can be done.
Okay, mild. Mild is better. Yeah. I'll have that with ugali. Huh?
Might be has got like a bit spicy. Just a bit.
Okay, yeah. that's fine. I just don't want like burning hot, you know. If it's mild, I can handle that.
We want you to taste the flavors, all the flavors of the meat. So
Okay.
comparing it, what?
Yeah. So I will have that with the skuma wiki, but the ugali, please make it small, not.
So this is one side to you.
Okay.
You don't be like,
Okay.
You can't finish it. You have the opportunity with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenya lived 12 years in China. Come on. Yeah.
And I want to try the lamb samosa. Sambusa ya lamb. So it's goat for the choma, yeah? Fantastic. Okay.
Going from Kenya, yeah?
Yes. Got from Kenya. All right. Well, now we've ordered. We can keep. Let's keep just chatting as we wait for the food to come. I want to see your. Have you ever actually had Kenyan food before? No.
No,
this is your first time.
Yeah.
Do you go to do you go to African restaurants a lot?
I sometimes go to Ethiopian restaurant.
Yeah.
Because they, you know where I live in Old Street, right?
Yes.
So I live in Old Street, which is East London, right?
Yes, yeah.
East London. And we don't have a Kenyan restaurant there, but yeah.
I mean,
I'm really tempted for this one.
So I was actually quite amazed when I found out that this place exists. And I said, I have to try it. Obviously, I live in the West and they are based in the North. So it took a while, for, you know, a lot of planning. Because it's like a little travel coming all the way here. Right, and what do you know, it's not so often I've met African vegetarian.
But
How did you get into that? How did you become vegetarian?
Now we talk about vegetarian, right?
Yeah.
You see, it's very hard to talk about like Africa, you know, as one group of people with one characteristic, and because you have different. Look.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about how you got into vegetarianism.
Right.
I'm just curious.
Okay. I grew up in Holland, right? And then I get in Holland, small country in Europe, but very, very multicultural.
Yes.
And then I come across with the Asian people, right? And then, they have a lot of vegetarians, right? And then, you know, because I socialize with them, and that's how I've been introduced to this vegetarian way of life, right? But also, I also like, I used to have like friends from Eritrea, Ethiopia, and I also find out that actually you have a lot of vegetarian people in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, even like some of, you know, I mean, they have like different religions there. Like Christians, they have this fasting time where they don't eat any product that comes from animals, all that stuff.
Not all Christians, though.
No,
Catholics, maybe.
Yeah. There's you know, but
and only during Lent time. You know, the only time you don't have to eat meat on Fridays. You know, but then my question is, forget about the history about.
Okay, but
it's
this
more
is
about
the
how
contact, contact with the Asian,
So it was just because somebody else was eating vegetarian and you decided to eat vegetarian, or did you say?
No, look, 15 years ago, okay, now I'm vegetarian, but I've been introduced it for this maybe 20 years ago, but I was not ready.
But what attracted you to being a vegetarian?
Since I became vegetarian, I'm more healthy. I'm more healthy.
So the healthy aspect of it.
Yeah, more healthy, and for my money is better because it's cheap and healthy.
Yeah.
You see, and
You don't. But do you? What kind of vegetarian are you? Because I know there's some vegetarians who can eat. Mostly they're like sort of pescatarian, I guess.
No.
Sometimes you eat eggs. Do you eat eggs?
No. Me,
do you eat fish?
Eggs. Even before I become like vegetarian, I never liked eggs in my life. Anyway, so I don't eat fish, I don't eat meat, and none of that. Yeah. Nothing
Oh, wow.
from the sea and nothing from, yeah.
So you just eat greens every day?
Yeah, you know, rice, pasta, you know, and but I do one thing, you know, I cook for myself. Pizza margarita. So
Lovely.
yeah, cheese, yeah. Cheese.
Yeah, you're a big cheese eater.
Yeah, cheese. I do cheese sometimes. So yeah.
Blue cheese? Do you like blue cheese?
I keep cheese for myself. Yeah.
Okay.
I keep, yeah. But yeah, I'm not vegan. I'm vegetarian. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a thing. Are you leaning towards one day crossing that line to become a vegan?
No. No. I'm fine. I'm fine like this.
Where you are,
yeah,
okay.
Because now I, you know, 15 years already. I because the hard part of changing your way of eating, you have to substitute, right?
Yeah.
You have to substitute what you going to start to eat. But now I'm already in another stage, so I don't have problem with it.
You know, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, when we were growing up, when I go back in my memory, I feel like we actually grew up more on a vegetarian diet because we rarely ate meat. So it was like accidental vegetarianism. And then it's only when I grew up and started working and started, you know, doing, you know, being independent, that's when I started eating loads of meat. And now I'm just like a huge meat eater. It's like, but then when I was younger, I did not, funny thing, when I was younger, I did not like meat at all. The only thing I really loved, I did not like eggs. I loved fish. I still love fish. I eat a lot of fish. Probably 9 out of 10 times of my week.
My father was fisher.
Yeah. And now I can't, like every meal, I think it's also because growing in China, you've got, they're huge meat eaters. So
Yeah.
every meal has got at least 2 different kinds of meat. So I'm so used to that there's no way I can go a full day without having either a piece of fish or a piece of red meat.
So now you're talking about like something very important because, okay.
The cultural influence of China to me.
And Western culture, don't forget about this. Do you know, like African, very, very environmentalist.
Yeah.
Why I say that? In Africa, you eat meat.
Yeah. Can I just do this? Okay.
So basically in Africa, you eat meat not every day, right? And you just have enough to eat maybe during the week, maybe 2-3 days, and then you change maybe to fish and sometimes no meat at all. But like in Europe or like where you grow up,
China, yeah.
right? In China. So they have this huge supermarket. It's becoming like a business for meat, you know, meat.
Yeah.
Meat. And you know, like sometimes people just the consumption is too much, you know. They consume too much, and they consume without even think about the healthy. Because look, everything too much is not good, right? Let me say, like, I'm gonna give you like a perfect example. If someone comes to me and then say, you know what, I eat meat 2 times a week, and I eat fish once a week. Mm-hmm. I will say this is the perfect diet, or I eat
perfect balance. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
or I eat 2 times per week. I eat fish 2 times and 1 time meat. I will say this is perfect balance. But like every single day, that's more for business purpose, right? So
And now we're used to it. Now that's all, yeah.
But you know, it's very important to be conscious about like your healthy and your well-being. You know, it's very important what you put inside. It's very important. Very important.
Yeah.
People don't care. They just eat everything, and you know. I don't. I'm lucky that I don't.
How are you enjoying your Fanta?
Yeah, this is the Kenyan Fanta, yeah?
Kenyan version of Fanta, yeah. This is what I grew up on when I was
It's
young.
always, I think that every taste from Africa is just the best. All good.
Right. Let's do the song promotion for Kenyan Kitchen now, yeah?
Sorry, what?
Let's do the song for talk over the Kenyan Kitchen, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you. When do you start?
We have talked about
Okay,
it quite a bit.
I'm going to ask you. Yeah, can you?
Now I want the song promotion for my restaurant.
No, but I want to do a special piece about Kenya Kitchen. Can you-
I'm going to. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to stall idea. Of course, you're gonna edit things back
Yeah.
after. So can you talk with me like about what you know about, you know, when you grew up with your, you know, with your family, you know, back home? What do you know about Kenyan food? You know, kitchen.
I mean, Kenyan kitchen or Kenyan food?
Yeah, yeah.
Growing up or now?
No.
What's
Yeah, what you know in general. Like,
I mean, Kenyan food is what I grew up on. Ugali, which most people tend to eat every day for lunch, for dinner. You've got githeri, which I really, really loved, and githeri obviously is for, if you're not familiar with it, it's more about, it's beans and maize together, and you can add spices and, you know.
do you eat a
Add
lot of
flavors.
rice there?
We do eat a lot of rice, yeah. So rice beans is one of my favorite dishes. I still do make that here. Rice and beans, really love it.
Because me, I grew up with rice is like a basic, like a ooh.
So the staple for
We grow
Kenya
rice.
is more like ugali, but yeah, people eat rice.
You grow rice there in Kenya.
We used to, I think, but now I think we import most of our rice.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You have a rice field in Kenya?
We used to.
Okay.
I think that's a good question. I think.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, where I came from, in West Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as I know, we do import a lot of rice, which we shouldn't be doing. Or I could be wrong, but anyways, yeah. So anyway, it's more about like, I think in West Africa they call it, I'm not quite sure if it's the equivalent of fufu or...
Fufu, I don't know. When you say again,
Yes,
West
like-
Africa, it's very deep. Yeah, because I don't know which side of West Africa. Maybe that's Ghana, it
Yeah.
can be Nigeria, it can be, I don't know.
Anyway,
But
I don't know. I'm
definitely-
not quite sure. I think it could be quite similar, but in like ugali is what we eat mostly in Kenya. I think in southern African part they also eat it, but they call it pap. But
Okay.
the texture is a bit different. The consistency is different because in southern Africa it tends to be more a bit wet and you can eat it with a spoon, whereas for us it's more like a hard dough because it's like maize meal that has been cooked in hot water and then it becomes hard, like almost like bread, but like really dense.
Okay.
So you eat that with a stew. You can eat that with veg if you're vegetarian. You can eat that with beef stew, fish stew, whatever you want. And then there is another aspect, because I grew up very close to the Kenya-Uganda border when I was young. So in Uganda, their staple is plantains, which is matoke.
Yeah.
And so it's basically just a type of banana that's green.
Yeah,
and it's cooked. Then you can eat that with all sorts of stew, and I really like that as well. Yeah.
Okay. So you have like because you are
My
like in
palate,
border.
my palate though has sort of really diversified, if I may say that. Because I think living in China has changed the way I view food. So I'm very adaptable. I tend to eat. There are moments where I'm just like I would be craving French food, and I just like spend the whole week just like trying to, make French recipes. Or then I would go to like, I'm craving Kenyan food, and I would just go and like find Kenyan food and make it. Then it goes to a period where I crave Chinese food, and then I have to find it. Then it comes to a point where I'm like, because Kenyan food also is very, like some dishes are very close to Indian food.
Yeah, because of you are from
There's a lot of
east, and
Yeah.
then you have this influence.